You've probably noticed it already. There are times in your life when everything seems to slow down, as if the world is waiting for something, and yet something is moving toward you, faster than your plans, bigger than your fears, more precise than anything you've imagined. You can't see it yet, but you feel that pressure in your heart, that inner stirring, that silent sign telling you, get ready, something is coming. What if what you've been waiting for months, what you ask for in your most sincere prayers, was already moving in your direction? Stay until the end of this video, because if your soul is in motion, it's not by chance. You've probably felt it before. Not a clear emotion, not a precise thought, just something. Something that hangs in the air around you, that slips between your breaths, that silently passes through your heart. A strange feeling, hard to name, but impossible to ignore. You sometimes find yourself staring out the window without knowing why, staring at an invisible point, waiting for something you can't define, as if your soul knows an event is approaching, while your mind can't quite grasp it yet. And you've minimized this feeling. You told yourself it was just fatigue, anxiety, maybe a consequence of stress. But despite all the reasoning, despite all the explanations you've given yourself to reassure yourself, the heart never lies. It beats differently. It no longer beats for what you've lost. It no longer beats for the wounds you hide. It no longer beats for those chapters that exhausted you, nor for those people who are no longer here. It beats for something else, for something you sense coming even before you see it, and that beat, it's the beat of a soul perceiving a movement that life has yet to reveal. You yourself don't know what it is. Is it a change coming? An answer you've been waiting for too long? An opening you didn't dare hope for? A jolt that will shatter what you thought was stable? You don't know. And this lack of clarity intrigues you, worries you sometimes, but also awakens you. Because you sense that there is something greater than you, something you cannot control, something moving toward you, like a truth you cannot reject. And what you feel is not a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence when it comes to Allah. There is a spiritual phenomenon that many do not notice. Sometimes Allah prepares your heart before preparing your life. He sets the inner self in motion before the outer. He changes your tastes before changing your path. He depletes your old energy before offering you new energy. He gently pulls you away from habits, attachments, illusions, to make space for what He wants to send you. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, like an invisible signal that doesn't speak with words, but with sensations. A shiver in the heart, a sudden clarity, a disgust for certain things you used to accept, a longing for something you haven't yet experienced. It's like a subtle, continuous inner vibration telling you, get ready. Your story is about to change direction. And there's nothing more mysterious than these silent signs, because you can try to ignore them, but you can never completely get rid of them. They return in the quiet. They return in solitude. They return in those moments when you close your eyes and feel your soul calling you to something else. It's as if something is gently pushing you away from what destroyed you, and simultaneously pulling you towards something that will rebuild you. You feel you're no longer aligned with certain people. You feel certain places no longer nourish you. You feel certain habits are suffocating you instead of soothing you. And you think you're changing, but in reality, you're simply following an inner direction that comes from something greater than yourself. This feeling often appears before major transformations, before a transition, before a deliverance, before an answer, before a door opens. It's a sign, but an intimate sign. A sign that isn't loud. A sign that doesn't strike your mind.
but whispers to your soul. Because the soul recognizes what comes from Allah before life manifests it. It recognizes it through a strange peace, or an unusual restlessness, or an inexplicable expectation that grows within you without you knowing why. And perhaps you're wondering, why am I feeling this now? Why this inner change when nothing has changed around me? Why this feeling that something is approaching when my life seems stagnant? And the truth is, life is never still. Even when everything seems frozen, something is moving in the unseen. A decree, a turning point, a scripture, an answer you don't yet know. Something that has been searching for you for a long time, and something that was written for you even before you understood your pain. Something that began its journey toward you when you thought you were forgotten. Imagine, somewhere, far beyond your understanding, far beyond your rhythm, far beyond your calculations, something has been sent your way, not by chance, not by coincidence, but like a precise decree, targeted, calibrated to arrive at the exact moment your heart is ready to receive it. We're not talking about a simple event here. We're talking about a scripture that has left the unseen to enter the world you walk in. Like an arrow you didn't see launched, because its launch was silent. Because Allah's decrees are silent when they leave the unseen. They only reveal themselves when they touch you. And yet, it seeks you. It moves toward you. It transcends impossibilities, overcomes obstacles, bypasses what was meant to delay you, ignores what was meant to deter you, and rushes toward you with a determination you yourself have never possessed for your own projects. This arrow was not launched by a man. It was not launched by human intention, nor by human desire, nor by human coincidence. It comes from a world where nothing is approximate, where plans are perfect, where paths are written with a precision you will only understand in retrospect. This arrow can be an opportunity, the one you no longer expected, the one you thought you had lost because of your mistakes, your past, or your poor decisions. It can be an opening, a shift, an encounter, a change of environment, a necessary collapse, a new beginning you would never have had the courage to choose alone. But it can also be a trial, the kind that will burn away what silently gnaws at you, the kind that will shatter the illusions in which you took refuge, the kind that will bring down walls you thought were solid, but which were holding you back. Because sometimes Allah sends you fire before He sends you light, a shock before a liberation, a loss before a gain. And even if you don't understand it, even if you fear it, even if you fight it, this arrow will not stop. It was sent for you. It cannot miss its target. It cannot change direction. It cannot slow down because you are afraid. It cannot stop because you doubt. It cannot be lost because your heart no longer believes. Because what comes from Allah is never lost. Perhaps this arrow will materialize in the form of a person, not just anyone. Someone who will bring a conversation that will shatter your perception. Someone who will enter your life as if it had been written in the stars for years. Someone who will remind you of a part of yourself you thought was dead. Or perhaps it will take the form of a breakup. A breakup that will tear you away from a place where you were no longer nourished. From an environment that was stifling you. From an attachment that was draining you. From an emotional dependency that prevented you from hearing the whispers of your soul. Perhaps it will be a journey. A physical or inner shift. A moment when you will be forced to leave the place where you had locked yourself away, to realize that the world is bigger than the limits you had imposed on yourself. Perhaps it will be a radical decision, the one you never dared to make because you thought yourself too fragile, too unstable, too limited. But one day you will make it, without hesitation, because something within you will have changed without you even realizing it. This arrow can be gentle. It can arrive with a lightness that will soothe you like a fine rain falling on a burning heart. It can arrive in the form of good news, an outstretched hand, a door that opens when all the others have closed. But it can also be brutal, like a rude awakening, like a shock, like a truth you have ignored for too long, a truth that finally forces its way into your life. Whether gentle or harsh, it has a purpose. It carries a message. It is there to correct a course, align a destiny, broaden a vision, purify an intention. You couldn't see it coming, because Allah never shows you the arrival before He has prepared you. He lets you sense it, feel it, hidden it. So perhaps you felt a strange weariness, a gradual detachment from certain people, a weariness with certain habits, a need for air, a need for truth, an inner calling. It wasn't just a feeling. It was the distant sound of the approaching arrow. And how long has it been on its way? Longer than you imagine. Long before this pain that changed you. Long before this prayer you thought you had forgotten. Long before you realized that your heart was missing something the world couldn't offer you. Sometimes you think your life is stagnating, that you're not moving forward, that you wake up every day to the same routine, the same fears, the same crushing regrets, as if your existence was stuck, suspended, frozen in a waiting period you don't even understand. And you tell yourself it's you, that you're not strong enough, not disciplined enough, not patient enough, not devout enough. You judge yourself, you accuse yourself, you belittle yourself. But what you call stagnation, what you believe to be a complete standstill, is actually just an illusion seen from the outside. Because in the presence of Allah, nothing remains still. Nothing. No breath, no terre, no weariness, no silence. Remains motionless. Even when everything seems frozen, something is working within you. There is a spiritual principle you have forgotten. When Allah loves you, He never leaves you in a static state. He makes you move. He makes you change. He pulls you from what lulls you to sleep. He prevents you from settling into what slowly destroys you. And sometimes, this movement doesn't feel like progress. Sometimes, it's chaos. Do you think you're wasting time? No. You're simply losing what was no longer meant to be with you. Do you think you're going in circles? No. You're circling around a point you haven't yet understood. You're reliving the same situations, not because you're cursed, not because you're incapable, but because you haven't yet extracted the understanding your soul needed from these trials. There are pains that are not punishments, delays that are not blockages, silences that are not abandonment. There are grounds that tremble beneath your feet, not to collapse you, but to prevent you from remaining in a place where you are no longer meant to live. When you ask for transformation, Allah often begins by uprooting what still binds you to the past. You ask for a fresh start, but you want to keep the old habits. You want renewal, but you cling to people who can no longer accompany you. You want to move forward, but you refuse to let go of what is dragging you down. So Allah shakes you, not gently, not delicately. He shakes you until you understand that what you are losing wasn't meant to stay. A relationship crumbles. You wonder why. You cling on. You suffocate. You want to understand. But the truth is, this relationship held you back while your soul yearned to soar. A job that no longer holds you. You believe it's an injustice. You believe it's a sign against you. But perhaps this job was too small for the prayers you were secretly offering. A friendship that's fading away. You feel betrayed. You feel empty. But this person carried an energy that no longer aligned with your path. Allah sometimes removes people before they become invisible obstacles. A heart that can no longer tolerate superficiality. Before, you laughed, you went out, you filled your emptiness with everything that brought you nothing. And now, you're suffocating in the face of the pointless. You can no longer stand shallow conversations, empty distractions, relationships without depth. It's not you who have become strange. It's your soul that has grown. And it no longer accepts to feed on what drains it. When Allah wants to change your path, He rarely starts with the external. He starts with the internal. He removes the joy you found in things that destroyed you. He takes away the peace you felt in habits that extinguished you. He gently guides you away from what prevented you from seeing yourself clearly. Do you think you're losing? Do you think you're collapsing? Do you think you're failing? But in truth, He's creating space. He's emptying your heart. He's cleansing your mind. He's preparing you for something you wouldn't even recognize if you remained filled with all that weighs you down. You see, what you interpret as defeat is sometimes the greatest hidden mercy. What you call the end is often just the beginning of another version of yourself. What you call silence is actually an invisible rearrangement of your life. Allah rarely takes away without giving. He removes to liberate. He destroys to rebuild. He closes to redirect. He pulls you away from certain places to prevent falls you don't yet see. What you are experiencing is not a wall. It is not the end. It is not even a pause. It is a propulsion. A pressure that pushes you toward a version of yourself that cannot exist as long as you remain attached to what you should have let go of long ago. And when this pressure becomes more intense, when everything seems to crumble around you, it is not a punishment. This is often a sign that something huge is approaching, and it's not yet time for you to understand why. What if what you're waiting for isn't at all what Allah is sending you? Have you ever seriously considered this question? Not just casually, but deeply. Asking yourself, what if I'm asking for something while Allah is preparing something for me that doesn't even exist in my thoughts? Because sometimes you pray for a small change, and He prepares a complete transformation. You ask for a solution, and He prepares liberation. You ask for an opening or tosun, and He creates a path for you that you never imagined. So let me ask you the question as no one has asked it before. What if your prayer was too small for what Allah has written for you? You ask, why is it taking so long? And you think it's because you're not good enough, not consistent enough, not patient enough. But the truth is, Allah doesn't respond with human impatience. He responds through events, through realignments, through silent signs that your soul understands before you do. What you call delay, He calls preparation. What you call waiting, He calls protection. What you call silence, He calls invisible construction. You ask, why is it changing? Why is your life crumbling? Why are you losing what you thought was yours? Why are relationships you thought would last forever falling apart? And Allah answers you, not with words, but with what is collapsing, with what no longer holds, with what no longer brings you anything, with what leaves your life even as you cling on. Because you refuse to let go, He lets go for you. Because you refuse to see the truth, He imposes it upon you. Because you want to maintain the old, He prepares the new. So you ask again, why me? Why now? And the answer is deeper than you imagine. Because this is the moment when your heart can finally bear what is coming. Because you are ready, even if you feel broken. Because what is happening was written at the precise moment when your soul was mature enough to receive it. And perhaps you don't yet understand what is happening. You say to yourself, everything was fine. Why did it suddenly deteriorate? I just wanted a sign. Why am I experiencing such upheaval? I asked for a small improvement. Why is everything changing around me? And Allah tells you through what you are experiencing. You cannot receive the new in a life built on the old. You cannot bear the blessing with the same habits that destroyed you. You cannot receive a divine answer in a heart still attached to what has hurt you. So you ask again, is this truly for my own good? And you hope for a gentle, reassuring answer. But Allah answers with what disappears, with what leaves you, with what liberates you, even when you think you are losing. He removes what suffocates you. He removes what slows you down. He removes what distracts you. And you interpret this as an injustice, when it is actually a deliverance. You ask, why do I feel this emptiness? Why this inner weariness? Why this need to refocus, to distance yourself, to reflect? Why this sudden yearning for truth, authenticity, depth? And Allah answers you with this very emptiness. This emptiness is an invitation, a peshiket, so that you can welcome what is to come. Because as long as your heart is filled with noise, attachments, illusions and distractions, there is no room left for His guidance. You ask, why does everything seem different when nothing has changed around me? And Allah answers you through your own heart. Because when He decides to change your inner self, everything you see takes on a different hue. You ask, why this feeling of anticipation? This feeling that something is approaching? This sense of movement when your life seems frozen? And Allah answers you through that very feeling. Because souls recognize changes before eyes see them. You ask, why don't I understand yet? And the answer is that some understandings don't come before the event. Some answers only become clear after the storm. Some blessings can only be explained once they have touched you. And you still ask, even if you don't tell anyone, is this event that's happening meant to rebuild me or to break me even more? And Allah answers you through the peace that begins to awaken within you, even if you don't yet dare to admit it. Because what's happening wasn't sent to crush you, it was sent to align you. And if you find yourself watching this video today, it's no coincidence, because you're right in that moment, where questions become signs, and where signs announce something approaching, and the real answer begins only now. There are things Allah sends you, like rain. You see them coming, you see the signs, you feel the clouds gently gathering over your life. You watch the atmosphere shift. You recognize that subtle moment when the wind whispers that something is brewing. You have time to feel, time to understand, time to prepare yourself inwardly. It's like that period when your soul becomes more sensitive, when your thoughts grow heavier, when everything within you seems to be waiting for something you can't yet define. Before it falls, the rain always sends you warnings. It speaks to you through the smell of dust, the rustling of the air, the darkening of the sky. And sometimes, Allah's blessings are exactly like that. They announce their approach. They prepare you, they give you signs, they gently awaken you. They even allow you to adjust your heart before they touch you. But there are also things that Allah sends you, like the night. They don't give warning. They don't send any signals. They don't alert you with a sound, a change, or a sensation. Night arrives in a single movement. You blink, and the light disappears. You breathe in, and your whole world changes color. You don't see the precise moment it arrives, but suddenly, it's there. And sometimes, Allah works in exactly the same way. He sends you sudden turns, unexpected truths, life-changing events without making a sound. Not an alert, not a visible sign, just a shift. Instantaneous. These are the decrees that don't pass through your mind. These are the scriptures that fall when your heart is too weary to continue down the old path. These are the turning points that appear precisely when you thought nothing would ever change. And on that night, you can experience it in 1,000 ways. Sometimes it arrives as a brutal realization, a truth you've denied for far too long. Sometimes it appears as a decision you make without thinking, as if someone else inside you has finally spoken for you. Sometimes it manifests as a situation you can no longer bear, a sudden disgust for a life that no longer felt like you. And you find yourself thinking, why now? Why like this? Why without warning? But the night never gives any warning when it comes. It falls. It imposes itself. It envelops. And in this sudden darkness that life sends you, there is a wisdom so profound that your mind may take months or even years to grasp it. Because the night doesn't come to lose you. It comes to soothe you. It comes to force you to close certain chapters. It comes to prevent you from continuing down a path that would have damaged your soul. When Allah sends the night into your life, it's not to frighten you. It's to force you to slow down, to refocus, to see what you no longer saw because you were so busy running. The night is a veil, but it's also a refuge. And while you wonder why everything has suddenly darkened, something within you is already beginning to change. Not on the outside, on the inside. A new sensation, a breath, a clarity, a peace that wasn't there before. You don't yet see the light that Allah has placed in this night. You don't yet understand its meaning. But you sense that something is no longer the same. As if the air around you has changed temperature. As if your soul senses that this darkness isn't meant to extinguish you, but to illuminate you in a different way. And what is coming, what is heading towards you, is no small change. It's not a breeze, it's a wave. A wave you didn't see rising, a wave you didn't feel approaching. A wave that formed far from your sight, far from your understanding, far from your control. It is immense, it is deep, it is powerful, and yet it bears your name. It cannot touch anyone else. It cannot go wrong. It was written for you, shaped for your soul, programmed for your path. This way, it can be a deliverance you no longer expected, a relief you no longer dared hope for, an answer you had stopped asking for. It can be a radical change, a turning point that will move your heart from a dark place to a bright one, a decision you will make without hesitation, an event that will throw you out of a life that was no longer meant for you. It can be a beginning, a rebirth, a reboot, a version of yourself you've never seen, but that your soul has longed for. Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you, no one has ever said to you like this. No one has ever looked you in the eye to tell you this. No one has ever taken the time to put your thoughts in perspective. Perhaps you believed your life was too broken to be fixed. Perhaps you believed you had accumulated too many mistakes, too many regrets, too many silences to deserve a fresh start. Perhaps you believed you had missed too much, too many opportunities, too many paths, as if the world had moved on without you. Perhaps you were led to believe that life has a limit, that lost time can never be recovered, that closed doors can never be reopened, that opportunities never come back. But that's what people say. That's what everyone around you keeps saying. That's what your ego, your fear, Your mental exhaustion whisper to you when you're alone. But Allah doesn't work that way. Allah doesn't need time to transform you. He doesn't need years to open a door for you. He doesn't need human logic to align your destiny. He simply decides. One decision, one decree, one scripture that descends into your life, and everything changes. I want you to realize something. What you consider impossible, He can do in an instant. What you consider broken, He can make more beautiful than before. What you consider lost, He can give back to you in a form you haven't even imagined. You think you're taking too long to heal, but Allah can heal you in a second. You think it's too late to start over, but Allah can give you a fresh start when He decides the time is right. You think you're no longer the person who deserves it, but Allah doesn't operate by human standards. You're the one counting the years. You're the one comparing your past to others. You're the one punishing yourself for what you haven't managed to achieve. Allah, on the other hand, looks at your heart, the intention you're hiding, the sincere regret, the small light that still flickers in your soul, even though everything inside you seems extinguished. Perhaps you've told yourself that your life is too complicated, too burdensome, too disorganized, and that Allah wasn't going to rearrange everything just for you. So let me tell you something harsh. You underestimate your Lord. You underestimate how He can rewrite your story. You underestimate how He can turn a situation around in the blink of an eye. You see chaos. He sees building. You see failure. He sees purification. You see loss. He sees the space He creates to send you forth a better person. Do you think you're behind? But who told you that you have to keep up with everyone else? Do you think you've taken too many detours? But some detours are necessary to learn what you would never have understood on the direct route. Do you think you've stopped for too long? But perhaps you needed to stop to heal, to hear your own soul, to let go of what was weighing you down. What if I told you that all these losses, all these falls, all this weariness weren't obstacles, but invisible reorganizations? What if I told you that Allah stopped you precisely so that you could finally see where He's leading you? Because the truth is, when Allah wants to elevate you, He always begins by detaching you from the ground. And this detachment sometimes feels like losses. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like loneliness. Sometimes it feels like a heart that has been pulled too far in every direction. But it's just the preparation. It's just the cleansing. It's just that moment when He strips you of what was never meant to define you. You know what people forget? When Allah wants to open a path, He doesn't need the ground to be prepared. He prepares the ground while He opens the way. He aligns hearts without anyone noticing. He moves events like invisible pieces on a chessboard that only He sees in its entirety. And you tell yourself, I don't see anything moving, so nothing is happening. But how can you see what is happening in the unseen realm? How can you understand what is still being prepared? How can you analyze a plan that surpasses your intelligence, your timing, your limited vision? So yes, something is already moving toward you, faster than your fears, faster than your regrets, faster than what people have said to limit you, faster than anything you still believe is impossible. Something immense is heading toward you, something you would never have dared to ask for in this way, something that was crafted exactly for you, for your soul, for your journey, for your pain. There comes a moment in life when everything stops, not outwardly. The world keeps going. Cars drive by, people laugh, time keeps turning. But something inside you freezes, as if your soul holds its breath, as if the heavens pause your story, just for a single instant, to force you to look at what you've refused to see for far too long. You know this moment. You felt it before. That strange, profound, almost sacred silence that appears amidst apparent chaos. That moment when you realize that nothing in your life happens by chance. Nothing. You didn't meet certain people for no reason. You didn't lose certain things for no reason. You didn't endure certain nights for nothing. Everything had a purpose. Even what brought you. Even what discouraged you. Even what drained you of your strength to the point where you believed you would never recover. Because Allah does not let a soul collapse without first preparing what will rebuild it. And then one day, you reach that precise point in your life. The point where what happens because you are finally able to receive it. This sentence is weighty. It is true. It is almost frightening if you truly understand it. Because it means that everything you didn't receive earlier wasn't a rejection. It was protection. It was an adjustment. It was an invisible adjustment you didn't see. You could have received it too soon, and that would have destroyed you. You could have received it when you weren't yet stable, and that would have weakened you. You could have received it with a broken heart, impatient, confused, and you would have squandered something immense. So Allah made you wait, not to punish you, to prepare you. He led you down strange paths, detours you didn't understand, conclusions that angered you, delays that made you doubt. But each detour corrected a part of you. Each closure took you away from a place you should never have gone. Each delay healed something within you that wouldn't have withstood the weight of what was coming. Because what is coming toward you is not small, is not fragile, is not random. It is not something you catch randomly like a gift found by chance. No. This is something that has been crafted for you, chiseled for your soul, aligned with your wounds, programmed for your future. Do you really think a destiny written by Allah can be accidental? Do you really believe a decree can fall upon your life without perfect precision? Do you really believe that what awaits you is merely a chain of events? No. What comes your way is prepared. Every detail, every timing, every person involved, every emotion, every lesson, every encounter. Nothing is improvised. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing is just life. It is prepared. And it is protected. Protected from others. Protected from harm. Protected from yourself, from your impulsiveness, your naivety, your past mistakes. Do you really think a destiny written by Allah can be accidental? Do you really believe a decree can fall upon your life without perfect precision? Do you really believe that what awaits you is merely a series of events? No. What comes your way is prepared. Every person involved, every emotion, every lesson, every encounter. And nothing is left to chance. Nothing is just life. It is prepared, and it is protected. Protected from others, protected from harm, protected from yourself, from your rashness, your naivety, your past mistakes. Protected until you are ready to use it as Allah intends. Do you know what it means for something to be protected by Allah? It means that no one can steal it from you, and no one can get ahead of you, and no one can take a share of it. No one can stand in your way. No one can divert it. No one can diminish its value. What is meant for you needs no competition. What is meant for you needs no convincing. What is meant for you needs no running. Because what is meant for you comes to you, and nothing can stop it. And nothing can slow it down. Nothing can divert it. You see, when Allah sends something into a soul's life, it is not a mere coincidence. It is not a small opportunity. This is not a detail. It's targeted. Targeted with a precision you'll never have. Targeted with timing beyond your comprehension. Targeted with a wisdom your heart will only understand in retrospect. And you won't be able to avoid it. Not because you're a prisoner of fate. Not because your life is written like a movie where you have no role. No. You won't be able to avoid it because Allah sends you exactly what your soul needs at the precise moment it's ready to receive it. And that moment when the heavens begin to shift for you, you never realize it right away. But if you truly listen, if you observe what silently changes around you, you'll sense that something is approaching, something immense, something you thought impossible just a few months ago, and this approach is only just beginning.
If you feel something changing within you, if everything in your life seems to be reorganizing itself, collapsing or redirecting, then listen carefully. This is not a coincidence. This is not pointless chaos. It is a sign. Allah is sending you something that transcends you, something you will understand at the exact moment it touches you. And if you want to continue recognizing these signs, if you want to learn to read what your soul feels before your mind, then join me. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs it. Because what is coming your way is already on its way, and you don't want to miss any clues.